Hey, I am here with the magical and miraculous David Corbin. Um, the thing that he would love for you to know about him is that he gives a hoot. He gives a hoot. He actually cares. And his mentoring is some of the top people in the world, including the president of AT&T, Greg Reed of Secret Knock. We could go on and on. He's the author of 17 books. Uh, David, you may want to talk about the current manuscript you are working on right now. I'm like, wow. And thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing your presence, your wisdom, your knowledge. I would love to dive in and, ask you about the topic of abundance versus wealth and frankly, just your leadership in life. What does that mean to you? Maybe that's too broad of a question, but um, I am so happy you're here, and I feel so blessed and excited, and can't wait for you to share your wisdom with us.
Well, I'm happy to be here because you're right. I do give a hoot. You when asked, what do you want people to know about you? That's the first thing that comes to mind when when I meet someone, I assume that there are no coincidences, right? I think it was said a coincidence is a miracle
Mhm.
in which God chooses to remain anonymous. And I say, well, God is great at all things, but kind of sucks at playing hide and go seek because peekaboo, I see you. And actually, it was Einstein who made that statement. I'd heard it a million years ago, and I sourced it not long ago to Einstein. A coincidence is a miracle in which God chooses to remain anonymous. And I think every meeting, every connection, when I get asked to be on a podcast, um, I could be busy, but there's a reason. There's always a reason, and so for that reason, I usually say yes if it's at all possible. And so when I meet someone, I want them to know I give a hoot. Now, I may not see you, but I'm in the process of seeing you, and vice versa. And let's see one another. And by see, I mean connect. Computers will do a peer-to-peer networking. Well, I like to do a peer-to-peer networking, you know, sort of with others. And wasn't always so. I used to be driven by, let me tell you how great I am. Let me tell you what I've done. Oh my gosh, my oh my, look at me. I was in that phase, some embarrassing phrase some years ago, until you realize you're wonderful the way you are.
You
You don't have to play any games.
you're so vastly. I want you to know, tuning in and listening to this, you're so vastly, David, under promoting the incredible things that you are taking part in this world, your service, your love, um,
Mm.
the the things that are in alignment with who you are. Um, they just shine out of your pores without you even saying it, so you don't have to say it. But I want you to know the things that this man has done are very impressive, and I'll be putting some of that in the show notes because I'm just very honored that you have stepped into your highest value and you help us to step into our highest selves as well. Thank you so much.
Mm. Yeah, I'd love to take credit for cool stuff. And aren't we all sort of the amalgam of the gifts given to us with by and through others, right? Um,
Mhm.
we are now, you know, because of where we were then and on this. I had a friend who passed away yesterday, and we
So
were in junior high school together, high school, and we went to colleges, and then,
yeah.
I moved to San Diego, found out he was in San Diego, and then we played tennis together for a million years. And yesterday he expired, and it's an interesting thing, the relationship I had with this we were like brothers, and in that we cared about one another, we loved one another, but we really didn't like one another in different things, and it was an amazing thing, and it got me thinking, right? I mean, whenever there's such a significant emotional event in one's life,
Yeah.
some will deflect, but most often will go in and will reflect and
Yeah.
all. And I think that I learned so much from him. Much of what I learned was how I didn't want to be. And I loved him. I mean, I hired him in two of my startups.
Wow.
Um, One was a software company that I owned and brought him in for. Another one was another company that I was running. And in both of those companies, where I gave him an opportunity where he was really having a hard time finding work elsewhere, I gave him an opportunity. He worked there, treated hhim properly, paid him well, and he badmouthed me behind my back in both situations. Like,
Wow.
it's like I think it was Ted Kennedy who said famously, he said, I don't know why that guy's trying to screw me over. I was never even nice to him. So, which is an interesting line. But
Right.
with my buddy, there was something there
Mm.
that I knew I needed to keep around and not dismiss.
Yeah.
And as I unpack that,
Wow.
um, because I mean, I wrote a series of books called From WTF to OMG with some LOL, unpacking life's hidden lessons.
Yeah.
So as I unpack that, the OMG became clear to me. The gift, the blessing in that relationship came clear to me before he passed. And so, I mean, it's just an example of, how do I want to say this? Stay awake, stay alert. This life is so rich for us. From as I look out on my property, the different colors of green, and the hawk earlier was having a big argument with a crow over some territory. And the chicken, one of my chickens who was sick, and I researched how to nurse her, and she had a great improvement yesterday. Stay awake to these gifts, right? As opposed to, I'm seeking abundance, I'm seeking wealth, all the rest of life, shut up. I'm
Yeah.
seeking abundance and I'm seeking wealth.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. It that that's such a powerful statement. How do you see the difference between abundance and wealth? I I look at it like, so money is a bartering tool. It's a measurement of the value we put into the marketplace is one of its definitions. And when I think about it through that lens, it's value, it's service, and it's a measurement of that value and service. So it's
Mm.
not the money, it's the value. And um, but when it comes to that, how do you define abundance and wealth? Are they different? Are they the same? What does that look like?
Well, before I get into the linguistics of it, I want to say that what you had just shared was beautiful. It's it's a value that you're putting out there. Now, I know a lot of people who put a lot of value out there, and they do not receive a lot of money for it.
Mm,
That's an interesting thing, and that's
yeah.
that's certainly worth unpacking for them.
Yeah.
I've unpacked it for me.
Mm,
Um, And again, before I even get into the linguistics, I'll say this. I grew up in an interesting time in the sociology and the arc of America. I grew up at a time, a unique little period, I think, maybe everybody thinks that way, but I think because it was taboo. You do not hold a door open for a woman. Oh, no, what? I can open that door myself. I just burned my bra to show my equality, and I want to be treated as an equal. So I grew up at a time
Yeah.
when I didn't really, in a formative stage of my life, understand the distinction between feminine energy and masculine energy.
Mhm.
I also grew up at a time when money, money equaled military industrial complex and
Yeah.
bombs on babies
Yeah.
in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Money, bad,
Mhm.
root of all evil,
Yeah.
filthy rich. I grew up at that time, and guess what?
Mhm.
I was convinced of both. Convinced of both.
Yeah.
Um, Men and women are exactly equal, and money is bad.
Mhm.
Guess what I've learned?
What?
Money's good. And women's energy is so magnificent,
Mhm.
and men's energy so magnificent, and
Mhm.
they're different and complementary.
Mhm.
And oh my God, to understand how to treat my wife as a queen
Mhm.
with no resentment or regret. Oh my God, so deeply, profoundly influenced by the work of Alison Armstrong in that regard. And how she treats me like a king,
Mhm.
gives me all that I need as a big, stupid, big baby child who needs the validation every once in a while when he fixes something in here. And she goes, "Oh, my hero, how did you figure out how to do that?" Well, it was nothing. To understand that, yeah, I've got a lot of girlfriends,
Mhm.
women whom I love,
Yeah.
who are looking for relationships. They admire. Some of them are mentoring clients who, they come here, they spend the night in the cottage that I'm in now, and then maybe we'll have breakfast in the main house and we work all day. And
Yeah.
they'll go, "Gosh, I really wish I had what you and Ann have." And I said, "I wish you have that too."
Yeah.
And actually, I said, "Listen, when you meet a gentleman and you think there's a possibility, mention that you like the work of Allison Armstrong and see what they do. See if they buy the book. See if they buy the book and read the book. See if they buy the book and read the book and don't get it. That's okay. We're trainable. But see if they buy the book, read the book, and get it.
Mhm.
The only thing you say is your place or mine." So I like joking with. Okay, so now let me get back to the linguistics.
Yeah.
To
So masculine and feminine energy at play in this dynamic.
Yeah, there's that, but I want to get into the wealth and abundance
Yeah.
conversation that you and so I'm gonna make this Rorschach-ian. I'm just gonna do word association, right? So abundance is lots, supply side, a whole lot, maybe even more than you need. Maybe you're stockpiling. And wealth, one measurement is in dollars and cents, one measurement is in numbers, but the other might be ephemeral
Or
and
assets.
could be assets.
Yeah.
But um, my
Ephemeral. Yeah.
my knowledge is part of my wealth. My wisdom is part of my wealth. My skill set is part of my wealth. My black and blue marks and scars are part of my wealth. My life, that's my wealth. That's my wealth. My relationship with my children, my grandchildren, my neighbors, my vendors, my employee. That's my wealth. That's wealth. That's wealth. My
Mhm.
God, my relational capital is my wealth, right? Abundance. I mean, I have an abundance of gratitude.
Mhm.
And right now I have an abundance of eggs. My chickens are laying, and I went bought eggs at Costco yesterday. I got an abundant, a lot more than um.
They're laying
Well,
here in Florida too, so it's all
yeah.
good.
Yeah. So anyway, people conflate them, abundance and wealth. But
Yeah,
I remember a gentleman, the first billionaire I ever met, and we were contemplating how much is enough.
yeah.
And it was a great conversation. We had a good, now I must admit there was some red liquid at the dinner table. But how much is enough and what is wealth? Because,
Yeah.
and I'll just end my monologue on this. My son and daughter-in-law introduced me to a movie a few years back, and it was about happiness. And it showed a man maybe in his 30s, I'll say, in India. Um, Primarily shoeless in his work. He's single parent apparently, and one would think it wasn't a divorce. And he takes his 7-year-old kid to a vendor on a street to be watched or educated or street school. I don't know. And
Yeah.
then the man went off to work, and he was pretty much a human horse, which is to say he would pull a chariot
Mm,
and in sandals and in mud and water and whatnot. And he
yeah.
was happy and then he'd come back and pick up his kid, and his kid was happy, and he was happy, and they were also happy. And and I look at that, and obviously, the conversation is, well, then, there's billionaires' kids who are not happy, or drugs
Yeah.
and blah, 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 blah. So, you know, how much is enough? I think it's enough that you can feel fulfilled. And that's a
Yes.
word worth writing down.
Yeah.
Fulfilled. Fulfilled with what? It's not necessarily money. But we do have to have money, and I get that.
I
And it's easy.
It's so interesting too. Like you've worked with and mentored multiple billionaires, and how much is enough is such a powerful question. One of the questions I like to ask is, are you wealthy and miserable, or have you known anybody wealthy and miserable? Because a lot of times we make those associations. It's
Yeah.
really interesting to me to hear the way you differentiated abundance and wealth, because for me I almost would have done it the opposite way, because I think of wealth in terms of assets, and maybe money, maybe liquidity or cash flow is a part of that, but it's not the wealth, right? It's just a piece of it. But the ideas that bring gratitude and celebration of all of the parts of wealth, of the chickens laying eggs, and the relationships that we have, and um are we looking at wealth this way, and how does that impact us, and versus stockpiling over here, abundance. So it's interesting. And I'm not even sure what the breakdown of the words are. Like, I know how I define wealth and how I define abundance, and how you've given us a definition of what it means. And how do we allow that to shape what we give ourselves permission to receive?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's a big picture. I like to joke with audiences because I wrote a book called Illuminate, which is about you can't solve everything you face, but you can't solve anything unless you face it. And I teach face it, follow it, and fix it. And I say if you're not effing up your life, you're effing up your life, right? Face it, follow it,
Oh,
fix it.
fix
But
it.
then I went further into the effing up your life, and I look at the components of, faith, family, fun, fitness, freedom,
Mm,
face it, follow it, fix it,
yeah.
all leading towards the other F word, which is fulfillment. Fulfillment.
Mm,
You know, filling yourself up with love, gratitude, happiness, joy,
yeah.
expansion. Um,
Forgive,
evolution and the like. What?
forgiveness.
Forgiveness is a big F word, isn't it? Forget about it. Yeah, so I mean, look, I don't know nothing. I guess my way through life. I've not mentored billionaires. I've communicated and had relationships with them. I mentor I've mentored some famous people, don't get me wrong, but I mentor people where they're at,
Yeah,
where they're at.
yeah.
And well, they're not making any money, and then where are they at? The ones I don't work with, by the way, are those who think they're all that in a bag of chips. And that's the ego baby, which stands for edge God out. I can't deal. I mean, like, why do they even want to hire me as a mentor if they already know everything? I had one guy dig this, and this is a true story. And I'm not talking out of school, but I won't mention his name.
Okay.
So I met someone who knew I was going to be at the Secret Knock, who came to the Secret Knock just to meet me. And we had a meeting, and then through some conversations, I agreed to take him on as a mentoring client. And he paid his way, he came here, bada bing, and we did some work. Now the guy is a rocket scientist. I don't mean that he's a rocket scientist. He
A
invented
real, an
something
actual.
that's on, yeah, his invention is on like 6,500 spaceships and has had zero failure. Smart guy,
Yeah.
and he wanted to do speaking, and I've trained a lot of speakers, and it's not what I do, but it's part of what I do, and I mentor him. I meet them wherever they're at. So the guy and I were working, and we did that, and he was just a little resistant here and there, but I had to work him where he's at, and we recorded the sessions and stuff. He reaches back to me, and everything was good. He was happy, and I was happy. He just made me work really hard. And so about 3 weeks later, and I saved the voicemail, he reaches back and says, "Man, I'm on a bike ride, and I just pulled over, and I've been listening to the tapes as I'm riding on my bike." He goes, "I am so embarrassed. You were dropping," this is what he said, "you were dropping gold nuggets of wisdom, and I was too busy arguing and this and that and that and this." And I laughed. I said, I agree. I feel the same way, but I was, of course, hoping that there would be time released within you. And here you are filling my day with joy and appreciation that he goes, "Oh my God, oh my God." And so like most of my mentoring clients, he's marketing my mentoring for me, because I don't market it. And then he put up a video. There's a video on my I've got on my website, I've got my keynote speaking and my other stuff, and I've got my mentoring in there. And there's some videos. You mentioned some names of the people who I've mentored who put videos up, and he put a video. So there's a video up there and stuff like that. But but isn't that interesting? And the egoic part of me in the past would have been, dude, I'm giving you your money back. There's the door. Don't let it hit you where the good Lord splits you. Bye-bye. I would have been, my testosterone would have gone up higher. It's kind of like, I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, this is crazy. I do research at the Library of Congress. I love doing it. I've got a backstage pass, and you and I
Wow.
were talking once about Edward Bernays. I researched his work there,
Yeah.
have their documents in my hand, Frederick
Psychological
Douglass.
propaganda. Yeah.
Yeah. So that stuff. But I was supposed to have at this other museum that I research at a book from the 1500s on Aristotle. And this book was created 50 years after Gutenberg created the printing press. It was the first time that Aristotle was being introduced into Europe. And I found that to be fascinating. So I was so
Yeah.
excited. So I left the Library of Congress research, cleaned all my stuff up, all my security, blah, 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 because it's very high. And then I go to the next place. It's called the Folger Library. They have a lot of the original Shakespearean stuff, and they had this book, and it was going to be waiting for me. And I get there, cutting my other thing short, and they messed up. And they said, "Oh my God, we're so sorry. We're having an event, and we didn't have a blah, blah, blah." And I went, it's all good. I mean, stuff happens. You read the bumper sticker, caca pasa, right? Shit happens. Um, and they were all like, they
I
were, they
haven't
were, they
heard that
were,
one, kakapasa.
they were ready for me. And I said, and they were like, "Oh my God, thank you, thank you. What can we do for you? Blah, 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 blah." And I told them, I said, about 20 years ago, I would have thrown a fit. You would be calling security to
Mm.
get rid of me. And thank you for this opportunity for me to realize the delta between where I am and where I was. So we're all good. You catch yourself, you
Yeah,
know? And so I caught myself with this rocket scientist. He caught himself a posteriori after the fact.
yeah.
And oh my God, the lessons that we're getting on this campus called Earth are just awesome. And that's what I love to share with my mentoring.
Mm.
I love
Wow.
sharing this wisdom, exposing who they are and how and where they've got these veneers in front of them that are
Yeah.
just in the way for them getting what they want. It could be more money, could be more happiness, could be more health, more relationships, blah, blah, blah.
We truly all need mentoring, don't we? Truly. Thank you for that. I mean, how profound is that? It just is a reminder, you know. And you said ego is s- ego. How did you say that again? Will you repeat that?
Yeah, I've heard it to edge God out.
Edge God out. Yeah.
The God of your understanding could be the universe, spirit, nature, whatever.
Source. Yeah. The be, you know, like uh, it's so interesting how you were able to observe that gap from who, not who you used to be, because we were talking about our identity is
Yeah.
intrinsic, our values intrinsic, but the way you acted out of who you thought you were at that time, your perspective on your identity versus what it is now, and where you've seen the value of setting aside the ego and being real, being authentic, being loving, being connected and caring, and how you both came together, you and this client, this rocket scientist, and because you were in that sharing that frequency and that energy, you just bonded
Mm.
instantly. What a beautiful thing, right? And how powerful is that? Especially when I think deeply about how am I being my highest self? What's in the gap? What's getting in the way? What
Mm.
does my highest self mean? What does that look like? Right? Um, so I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, as I was listening to you carefully, I was realizing there's the who you are, and then if you move those letters around, it's how you are,
Mm,
from the WHO to the HOW.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
and I did a TED talk about that
Mhm.
in part, where I asked, who are you being while you're doing what you're doing, right? And I have people. It's really funny. I got permission from the TED group to hand out fake LSD, magical, imaginary LSD,
LSD.
and and I had them. I said, "Here's so. In order for you to really get what I'm going to share with you next, you need to be hallucinating. Are you ready?" So I had them, make believe. And I had like hundreds of people go, "Whoa, dude, I'm tripping," all at once. It was fun. And I said, "Well, now that you're tripping, you could have a conversation with your business or even a conversation with your life. And
Mm,
because you're tripping, you could ask your business a question and
yeah.
you could hear your business answer
Wow.
in its voice. And you would ask it two questions. The first question is, "Hey, business, what is it you need me to do?" And
Mm,
you make a list of your core job functions. And then um, the second question you ask is, "Hey, business, how do you need me to be?"
mm,
So, what do you need me to do? And list that out. And how do you need me to be? And you list the qualities and characteristics of how you need to be, right?
mm.
So there's the do and the be. And I joke and I go, it's
Yeah.
the famous philosopher Frank Sinatra, doobie doobie doo. And then once you have those two lists, and because you're already tripping, let's get naked. I always joke with the audience, let's get naked. I go, oh no, sir, please put your shirt back on. I don't mean strip naked of clothing. That's easy. I mean strip naked of ego
Yeah.
and rate yourself on each of these components on the do list and the be list on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. And where you're an 8 or a 9, yay. You've got to accentuate the positive, right? But where you're a 2 or a 3, eliminate the negative. Don't eliminate the negative, illuminate the negative. And see,
Yeah.
how can you close the gap between a 2 and a 5, a 4 and a 6? How can you close a gap? That's called PGA, not golf. It's performance gap analysis.
Mm,
And you close these gaps. And as you close the gaps, up goes your competence,
yeah.
which brings up your confidence,
Mm,
which then in turn brings up your competence and and you're going up the eensy beensy spider, but not up the water spout in the kid's story, the spout to fulfillment.
mm,
You close those gaps, and as you close those gaps, you invoke what's called the law of control, which says our confidence and self-esteem is directly tied to our moving in the direction of our destiny.
mm.
And so you're closing these gaps. And so that's performance gap analysis. And that's the essence of the work that I do,
Wow.
be it inventing products and building companies or mentoring people or the books that I write. Face it, follow it, and fix it.
Wow.
Face where you're at on that scale of 1 to 10. Follow it. Why do I suck at financial forecasting and follow it? Well, I never studied it. Follow it into the future. What happens if I don't learn sufficient, at least enough to hire people and keep them honest? And
Yeah.
then fix it. Either learn or hire or whatever. Face it, follow it, and fix
Thanks.
it.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, we've got some fabulous things right here that, some specific exercises to implement right here on being able to face it, follow it, and fix it, and not F up or F up in the best way, actually. And your wisdom, it's that being surrounded in a community of people who have wisdom, being here with you now, um, really is very impactful on who I am, and I know it is for you listening to this. I mean, being in the frequency and the energy of this, and I'm all things science, but that's scientific as well. And David, you're working now on not only helping us to be in our highest potential, be living our highest self, the impact on the world we underestimate at times, even when we are interacting, as you talked about mentoring, interacting, connecting, being in relationship with only one life, the ripple effect is so incredibly profound. And here you've done it on this massive scale. Um, where do we get to stand in our massive scale? Implementing these exercises? Like, is there one core tip you would say, do this right now, um, about stepping up in what you've talked about? Face it, follow it, and fix it. Is I'm wanting to go deeper here. That's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah, yeah. I think first off, as I believe strongly, we can't solve everything we face, but we can't solve anything unless we face it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I say face it and then follow it and then fix it.
Yeah.
And I it it's as simple as setting your watch or your phone an alarm um, every 4 days, and on it you say, what am I not facing right now that if I do, life would reward me? What am I not facing? You could also ask your spouse or your kids.
Yeah.
Something that I need to work on. And anyway, so I do believe that. I'll say this. The single greatest training program I've ever created is around this.
Mm.
And it is the interface between personal development and professional development.
Mm.
And I think it's the best starting point
Yeah.
for anyone. And if you want, I'll hum a few bars on it quickly.
Yeah.
Um, it really, it really requires, I think, recording, which you're doing,
Mm.
or having a pen or pencil available. And it's a formula. One of the things to illuminate is your reputation.
Mm.
Your reputation, your brand. And I say illuminate your brand. I wrote a book called The Illuminated Brand. See, I write books about stuff I care about. I wrote Illuminate, Harnessing the Positive Power of Negative Thinking. I wrote Preventing Brand Slaughter, How to Build and Grow Your Brand Asset Value. And then I wrote The Illuminated Brand, How to Live and Build Your Brand Even Under Pressure, How to Be Brand Centric. So here's the formula. Ready?
Yeah.
It's IBD times ABI plus SBI equals MBV. There you go. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
So IBD stands for what are your intended brand descriptors? Now, here's the essence of the Illuminated brand. The formula, IBD times ABI plus SBI is MBV. IBD is what are your intended brand descriptors? How do you want to be described? If you go into the restroom just to wash your hands and somebody's in the stall talking real loud, as you ever notice that? There's always somebody talking on their phone really loud and they don't know you're there. And if they were talking about you, what do you want to hear them say about you? That's your list of intended brand descriptors, right?
Wow.
Trustworthy, responsive, kind, loving, whatever.
Wow.
Then you've got those are your IBDs. Next, you do an ABI. ABI stands for an audit of brand integrity. Now you're going to audit, are you really living that brand? So you've got the list here, right? Now you have another list on the horizontal, and those are your touch points. People that you know, you meet, your prospects, suspects, customers, vendors, friends, family, whatever. So you got that. Now you do the ABBY, the audit of brand integrity. In this relationship with customers, and this description, I'd love to be described as caring.
Mm.
Am I showing that?
Mm.
Yay, that's brand integrity.
Yeah.
But if not, that's brand slaughter. Involuntary brand slaughter, but
Pencil.
brand. And so, whether you meant to do it or not, you're guilty. And so then after you have your list, your IBDs and your audit, next you do your SBIs, and that stands for Strategic Brand Initiatives.
Mm.
Initiatives, actions. What can I do to close the gap between doing it sometimes to
Yeah.
doing it all the time? How can I close the gap between not doing it and doing it? And when you do that individually or with a team or as a company, I do this in groups of, I could break a group of 400 into a whole bunch of groups of 20, and they go through that.
Mm.
When they find where they're in brand integrity, the energy is so high. But when they're honest enough to illuminate where they're committing brand slaughter, it's more sullen. And now everybody sees we're getting real here. We're not sweeping it under the rug, you
Yeah.
know, where negatives multiply like mushrooms. We're putting it in the light of day, which is the best disinfectant. So
Yeah.
we're looking at how we want to be. We're auditing, are we? And we're growing into that's personal development and professional development. We're becoming that person,
Yeah.
exposing ourselves to ourselves, facing it, following it, and fixing it. And that all equals MBV, which is massive brand value. So you end up with a reputation so
Yeah.
that someone says, "Oh my goodness, you ought to talk with. He can help. Oh, he's done. Oh, you should talk with her. She or oh yes, oh gosh, she's so awesome." So you're living into that,
Yeah.
and I believe that that's self-actualization.
Mm.
So the Illuminated Brand Training Program is the I am so grateful and proud at the same time for I've done this with luxury hotels. I've done this recently with the sheriff and the command staff here in San Diego. They've got $1 billion budget and the first female sheriff in 175 years of the office.
Wow.
I've done it for individuals and it works. Oh my God. It's it's kind of cool. So they say you're not bragging if it's true. It's true. Mic drop.
It's thank you. This has been a master class. And, as I don't want to wrap up with you, but uh, you know, in order in in order not to fire hose too much, your 17 books. Will you talk a little bit about what you're working on right now?
Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. I had an idea years ago. The idea is I believe that most difficult situations we have, particularly difficult situations, have within it a seed of a lesson, a germ of a lesson, a great learning opportunity leverage point in life. And so I came up with the idea from WTF to OMG, well, the little LOL, unpacking life's hidden lessons.
Mhm.
And so I wrote this book. Um, but I didn't write it. I have other people and myself. I wrote the intro and the setup for it,
Yeah.
telling their WTF situations and how they later learned it was an OMG gift. And they unpacked it. And they're sharing that story.
Uh,
And I've got some famous people in it, and then many not so famous people, although now they're in a book. And my goal is I want people to realize when you're in the thick of it, there very often is a gift. Don't waste time. Don't linger in misery. See if you can't look for that lesson and unpack that life's hidden lesson. So we put that book out, and yeah, I think I have here something. Here, look at this. This is pretty cool. So this is the first one, and this one and every one of these people, because it reached #1 on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list,
Wow.
all of these people I put in as co-authors. Now they paid to be in it.
Hmm.
Um, they're now Wall Street Journal best-selling co-authors for the rest of their lives. So
Wow.
then we did it again. We This one we charged a lot of money because it's a couple hundred grand to get on the list. We knew they were going to get on the list. So
Yeah.
this next one this next one came out. All these people are now Wall Street Journal best-selling co-authors.
Wow.
And this one hit #2 behind Prince Harry.
Wow.
I don't know why Prince Harry came in front of King David, but anyway. So
You,
then we did the third one. Now, this one, because it's already a Wall Street Journal best-selling series,
yeah.
we only charge $4,000, and all of these people are Wall Street Journal best-selling co-authors, and they only
Wow.
paid $4,000. And they're in book with Brian Tracy and Sharon Lecter, and that astronaut who spoke there, he's
Yeah.
in here, um, and a lot of cool cats. And now they're all. So I'm doing a fourth one. So if
Okay.
anybody wants that distinction, it's a $4,000 bill, and I need personally to review their story with them because I can't accept every story. It's got to fit. It's got to have value to the reader,
Yeah.
and they will have a distinction for the rest of their lives. And they put it on their email, bottom of their email. You put it on the cover of your other books. And so that's what I'm working on now. And I'm collecting those stories. And the stories some of them are so cool. Some of the people I never met before. Now, in the first few books, I only put people I knew, um, because, I was giving them the leg up for the Wall Street Journal thing. Then
And just to be clear, you're charging to be in the book and for the marketing of the book, but you cannot pay to be a part of the Wall Street Journal bestsellers list. Is that right?
Well, no. So the deal is the book is already a Wall Street Journal best-selling series, so they're
Yeah.
automatically a Wall Street Journal best-selling series thing.
Yeah.
Now you can't be on the Wall Street Journal list anymore because there is no more Wall Street list.
Yeah.
They canceled it. And
Yeah.
you could be on the New York Times list, but that's about $980,000.
Yeah.
But here they have that distinction. And so I have Olympians. They're already distinguished as an Olympian, but if let's make believe you're a really good coach,
Yeah.
or you're a really good lawyer, or you're a really good dentist,
Mm,
how do you distinguish yourself from everybody else?
right.
How do you do it? And
Yeah.
so this really grabs attention. So that's a project that I'm on, and there's another project we don't have time for, but it's my birthday gift to America for her 250th birthday. And
Wow.
it's actually a book that's available on Amazon right now. It's called Reawakening America, Illuminating Her Brand. It's a good book. It's
Wow.
so these are projects, and I'm doing some TV on that because it's America's birthday.
Yeah.
And then in addition to taking care of my ailing chicken, that keeps me busy.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, David. This has been a really a mini masterclass, if you will, with everything that you've guided us to do to to start to take action from our being and deeply, deeply appreciative. And I'm sending you continued best life, best of everything because I'm enormously thankful for what you've shared today. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And anyone can reach me at david@davidcorbin.com. I answer every email.
Thank you. And just briefly, where else can we reach out to you? Your website and
Yeah, just email is the best,
okay.
because I review them if they don't go to spam, and if they do. I just think if anybody cares enough to reach out to have a question where they feel that they might need to illuminate or they're stuck, or if they want, let's say the distinction of the Wall Street Journal
Yeah.
best-selling co-author and to stand out. I'll answer every email, and I want the expectation to be A, it's not going to be immediate, and B, on the Wall Street Journal thing, I can't accept every story. It's got to fit, but I help you with the story. So David at davidcorbin.com.
Thank you, David. I really look forward to staying in connected with you.
Let's do that.